Well, good morning and happy Monday to you. Today, the 9th of December. Christmas just around the corner. A lot of folks may be traveling for all the holidays coming up, and we've got a lot to go over with you on today's edition of 13 News Now Weather Plus. Some weather here for Hampton Roads and some weather around the country. Some other topics we're going to be tackling. We'll talk about the drought. We've got just a lot to cover. My name is Craig Moeller. I'm a meteorologist here at 13 News Now. I've enjoyed some vacation time, but I'm back for the next several days, and we're going to be keeping you updated with our Weather Plus live streams, and this is each morning around 9 a.m. Monday through Friday. So what are we covering with today's Weather Plus? Well, you can see across the United States there is yet another storm system sweeping, really impacting the eastern half of the country, but it's going to bring some significant impacts. We'll talk about areas that'll see snow, areas that'll see big temperature drops. We'll also talk about areas that are going to see a lot of rain, and many areas actually need the rain. That's our next topic. The drought update. There is some relief coming, and we're going to talk a little bit more in depth around Hampton Roads in the Mid-Atlantic, an area that has been very dry. And again, we could use some rain here, but we'll take a look at what's happening around the country as well. Our third topic that I really want to key on here are changing seasons. Tim Pandagis, our chief meteorologist here at 13 News Now, he's got to look back at what's happened in the fall, what typically happens through the winter, and I've got our winter outlook. We'll also focus on Hampton Roads weather. But we're going to start off with our first topic, another storm system to sweep across the eastern United States. And you take a look here, this is just kind of a precursor or a start to the bigger storm that's going to be coming across. So as we take a look at the map here, you'll notice there's some snow flying up across the northern Great Lakes, Lake Superior, up into Canada, portions of Minnesota. They're seeing some snow. You know, they've already had some pretty significant storm systems roll through the northeast U.S. So far with this, we're looking at rain that is going to overtake much of New York State. You can see Pennsylvania here, obviously rain farther south where it's warmer, and some heavier rain and maybe a few stronger storms down around Louisiana, southern parts of Mississippi into Alabama. We'll be watching those areas. For Hampton Roads, we're looking at rain showers that are coming through this morning, some relief after that. But this is just, again, the precursor. We've got an area of low pressure here. There's a frontal boundary out ahead of it, and there's some more energy that's going to drop down from Canada here to kind of reinforce with some colder air across the northeast. So it's a larger system you see here. We're also going to be watching some of this energy to kind of ride up and kind of enhance some of the moisture coming in. All of this combining to produce some nastier conditions across parts of the Northeast. So let's get into it. We'll take a look with our futurecast and the next big system here. And this is the GFS model I'm going to talk about here. This is the U.S. global model. You hear us talk about the GFS. That GFS stands for Global Forecast System. So this is the model that we take a look at. And again, as I mentioned, some snow around Lake Superior back up into Canada. And then we've got our rain chances here. Now the rain in the mid-Atlantic here, it's not going to be around all day. It's coming through during the mid-morning hours, and by noon or so, a lot of it is going to be moving out. We're going to see improvements coming this afternoon. So that's why you see that really clearing out later today. Again, a lot of the snow staying up into Canada. They deal with it up there. They know they've got the cold weather, so that's all in place. This energy swinging up through. A lot of rain for New York, but it will likely transition late today and tonight to snow back across parts of Vermont, New Hampshire, and into Maine. As I mentioned, there'll be some more rain down to the south. Really not a lot going on out west. A little bit of snow for parts of Colorado, but much of the western U.S. is actually in pretty good shape. We're going to focus on this area because it's the eastern U.S. that's going to get hit really hard with this next system as far as a heavier rain, potential for some flooding. We could see some more significant snow. And then that lake effect snow machine, it's going to fire up, and we're going to see more heavy snows for areas coming off the lakes. We'll explain what's going on with that. You can see, again, the moisture kind of enhancing a little bit down across the deep south and the southeast U.S. Some pretty heavy rainfall here across parts of western South Carolina, Georgia, and into Alabama as we look ahead to Wednesday. For Hampton Roads, our area, I expect the rain to be more widespread and significant here. That flood potential will slide up along the East Coast. And again, it's not a great flood potential, but there is some potential that we could have some runoff issues with the heavier amounts of rain. Now, you look on the backside of this system and you're going, well, Craig, this isn't green or yellow we're looking at. We're looking at these blues and kind of purple shades, and this area here shaded in this pink color. Yeah, that's wintry precipitation. This is our transition area where there will be some mixed wintry precipitation. You get up into the higher elevations, up into the Poconos. You take a look at areas back into the Adirondacks, the Blue Ridge, all these areas. You get up in the high elevations, it's snow. And some of those higher passes are going to be dealing with the snow as we go through the day on Wednesday. But I show you this because remember that energy I told you was off to the north into Canada? That kind of sweeps down into the Great Lakes region, starts to pull in more cold air. So this is going to sweep offshore. And as we get into Thursday and Friday, the mid-Atlantic's going to see improvements, but it's going to be a much colder air mass. We're going to go from upper 60s, for instance, here in Hampton Roads on Wednesday, in the low to mid 40s for highs on Thursday. So significantly colder. With that cold air coming in, again, snow for the Northeast, and we'll talk about snowfall potential there and amounts in a moment. You see rain pushing towards the coast with Boston. New York will see maybe a transition to some wintry mix around the Big Apple. And we have the potential Thursday for that lake effect snow to kick in again. And I do think we're going to see it coming off Superior, seeing it across parts of Lake Michigan, certainly Huron over to Erie and Ontario potentially. So this is what we're looking at with this next system. Again, the main push of what weather impacting most of the eastern U.S. is gone. By Thursday into Friday, it's lake effect snow we're looking at. And as I mentioned, not much going on across the central U.S., but we start to see some more snow showers developing out across parts of Colorado, up into Utah, and then back through Idaho. So we will be keeping an eye on that. But this was the focus for this one. And again, this is going to be significant for this area. Now, we talk about lake effect snow, and if you don't really know what that is or how that works, what's going on here? We get this very cold Arctic air, this cold Canadian air comes blowing across relatively warm water. Now, the surface temperature of the water might be low 40s. That's plenty cold. You won't want to go swimming in that very long. But again, the air is much colder. So as that blows across that relatively warm lake water, moisture gets drawn off the surface of the lake. And as that moisture gets picked up by the cold air, it produces the clouds and eventually the snow. So that's what we see. And as those plumes of clouds build and we get the precipitation starting to fall, that snow can really add up. So that's what the potential is coming off the Great Lakes as we go later, and that colder air sweeps in Thursday into Friday and even Saturday. So what are we looking at? Well, this is snowfall potential over the next 48 hours. I mentioned with the system coming through some parts of New York State, parts of Vermont, New Hampshire, and up into Maine. You're talking widespread 3 to 6, maybe 6 to 12 inches of snow. Some heavier pockets, of course. Some of the higher elevations could have locally higher amounts as well. So it's not the most major snowstorm ever, but it is going to have impacts. And keep in mind, there's going to be a lot of rain out ahead of this system as well. So anytime you've got the rain in that transition, you could have some freezing. Some of those areas where there's mixed precipitation, there could be some issues, maybe with some ice on some of the roads up that way as well. We're just going to ask folks, especially in that part of the country, to use extra caution. As I mentioned, coming off the Great Lakes, and this is just over the next 48 hours, there's a little dot of purple showing up in there. You get up into that 12 to 18 inch range. There could be little pockets coming off Lake Superior, potentially 12 or more inches of snow. Doesn't look like it's going to be as much. This is just through 48 hours. Keep in mind, the lake effect next snow machine kicks in after that 48-hour period. So this doesn't even account for what potentially could develop out as we go Thursday into Friday and Saturday. We'll, of course, keep an eye to that. This model only goes out 48 hours, but beyond that, there could be some more significant snow. Now, how about snow that's on the ground right now? You take a look at the current snow depths. They already have in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, some of these areas in these bright pinks, over 2 feet of snow for some of these areas. So some heavy snow up on the Upper Peninsula. The Yoopers dealing with that. Some heavy snow there in parts of New York. You can see just off to the south of Buffalo, there's some significant snow, 12 to 18 inches on the ground observed right now, 2 feet in some parts of upstate New York. And back into Maine, you've got a few areas there in this purple here shaded, 12 to 18 inches. So some very high amounts of snow sitting on the ground. That's in the Northeast. As we look out west, there's some heavy amounts of snow in those high elevations as well. Rockies snow covered, and the skiers loving it as more and more snow potentially coming over the next few days, and that adds to those beautiful bases and the ski resorts again. Loving that. So that's what's happening as we go through the first week of December, now entering our second week of December. I want to talk to you about the drought situation. When you look at that snow, the snow is one of the things that the U.S. Drought Monitor considers how much snowpack there is. Obviously, as that snow melts in the spring, that creates runoff, which really helps to moisten up the ground. But we do have drought across much of the country, and I want to start off by showing you some of the areas that are struggling the most. You can see West Texas here, around El Paso, and areas down to the south of that. They are in not only extreme, but exceptional drought there. Parts of western Montana could really use some moisture. You could see western parts of Arizona and back up towards Vegas. They have extreme drought. Extreme drought across parts of Montana and Wyoming into South Dakota. We're going to talk about the winter outlook in areas that will be impacted by the current weather pattern as it's shaping up. So we'll get into that as we go along. But I also wanted to talk to you about the mid-Atlantic, because just off to our north, you can see Maryland up into Delaware and New Jersey. We've got areas that are under extreme drought here. For the northern parts of the 13 News Now viewing area, we're talking Accomack County, back over to the northern neck, areas up around Tappahannock and areas back to the west of that, we have severe drought. Most of the area is in moderate drought. We could certainly use some rain yesterday. After being up at one point earlier in the year, we were up over 10 inches above normal for rainfall. Yesterday, we finally, for the year, got back to average, and today we are 0.12 of an inch below average. So again, we had tremendous amounts of rain in July, and March we had a lot of rain, and then it pretty much shut off throughout October. It was so dry. And November, we got back a little bit, but not enough. So we are below average and in moderate drought now across the region. Let's take a look at what these different levels, when we talk about moderate drought, what that means. Well, kind of historically, when you talk about impacts from moderate drought, it means the wildfire danger is going to be higher. The ground's dry. There's a lot of times brush that could catch fire, so that wildfire danger is higher than normal. Once you get into severe drought, this is where some city managers and some folks that monitor the conditions may ask for voluntary water restrictions. Maybe there's some mandatory ones in some areas. We don't have any of that for our region, so I don't want you to be too concerned. But just kind of historically, once you get into severe drought, you start thinking, okay, what do we need to do here? And how can we start conserving a little bit of the water? So we're looking at that. As you take a look at extreme drought there, you get into greater risk with outdoor burning, and that's why burn bans are frequently issued. And then in exceptional drought, reservoirs are low, and our daily lives can start to be impacted once you get into exceptional drought. We don't have anything like that around Hampton Roads or for most of the country. Parts of West Texas, as I mentioned, in exceptional drought. But we are certainly dry in the mid-Atlantic, and many parts of the country could use some moisture. So we're going to talk about where we're going to see that. And again, you see the rain potentially across so much of the country right now, falling over the eastern part of the country and spreading to the northeast. So let's pick up the flash flooding potential, because I said there was some heavier rain down to the south. This is where there is some potential. It's a level 2 threat, a slight risk from the panhandle of Florida. You can see around Pensacola areas off to the west of that through Mobile Bay and back towards New Orleans. There's a slight risk that they could get some heavier downpours with a few of these heavy rains and maybe a few isolated storms. Again, a level 1 threat, just a marginal risk north of that into Georgia. Now that's for today. As we look forward through Tuesday morning through Wednesday morning, that threat for potential flash flooding is going to shift north. It's still a level 1 or marginal threat pushing up into western parts of North Carolina and Virginia. We have that level 2 threat for the Atlanta area, western parts of South Carolina, down through Alabama. This is going to spread farther to the northeast, and it's here Wednesday through Thursday that we have our best chances for significant rainfall across Hampton Roads. So we are going to see some rain, and I think it's going to be pretty widespread and potentially more significant. So for the entire 13 News Now viewing area, we have that level 1 threat for flash flooding potential. Again, I'm not overly concerned with it, and the rain that's coming on Wednesday, it is a blessing. This will push us back above average for the year with our rainfall. I do think we'll get enough. So how much are we talking about? Well, again, in the next 48 hours with the rain that we're getting this morning, and it's fairly light, but we'll get a little bit, and what could come Tuesday night into early Wednesday, we could see anywhere from a ½ an inch to an inch. That's for, again, Norfolk down through Chesapeake, maybe some locally higher amounts, Virginia Beach. Again, anything we get at this point, a blessing, as we do need the rain. You go beyond that, and we're going to run these two models out. This is the GFS, and I'm going to take this to include the rainfall on Thursday. And you can see the model here generally projecting 1 inch to 1.5 inches of rain from Melfa, West Point. You can see through Norfolk, Virginia Beach, again, about 1 1/3 inches or so for those locations. So some significant rain coming up, most of that on Wednesday. I expect today's rain to be very light, but I think into Wednesday, we're going to see those types of rainfalls, and that does help out. That's the GFS model. Here is the European model, just to give you another look at the global models. And again, you can see anywhere from 1 inch to 1.5 inches. Elizabeth City, the Euro tries to produce 1.5 inches up at Melfa on the eastern shore. You're looking at maybe 1.4 inches. Most areas a little bit lighter than that. Norfolk, Virginia Beach, closer to 1 inch or so. But the bottom line is significant rain coming on Wednesday, so plan for that. All right, our next topic, we have seasons changing and what's coming next. Chief Meteorologist Tim Pandagis did a really great job kind of summarizing what happened in the fall. He's got this report.
On December 1st, we turned the page from meteorological fall to winter, and here's how it ended up by the numbers. In terms of temperatures, both October and November were warmer than normal, particularly in November, which ended up as the 3rd warmest on record. Altogether, the 3 months that comprise meteorological fall were the 9th warmest on record. Rainfall was a story of extremes. Near normal September rain led us into an exceptionally dry October, the 3rd driest on record, which brought about a resurgence of drought conditions. November recovered some rainfall, but still ended up drier than normal. Now, the next 3 months is meteorological winter. So what can we expect? As you might expect, average highs and lows get colder and colder, bottoming out in the middle of January. We've seen quite the range in temperatures as well, the hottest being 82 recorded in February and the coldest 3 below zero recorded in January. Average rainfall comes in just under 10 inches with an average snowfall of about 6 inches. Now, it's worth noting that the last measurable snowfall on Hampton Roads was over 1,000 days ago, and we're currently stuck in the 2nd longest snowless streak on record. Can we change that this winter? Time will tell. For 13 News Now, I'm Chief Meteorologist Tim Pandagis.
Yeah, I appreciate that report from Tim. So will this long 1,000-plus day snow drought end? You take a look at the winter outlooks for December, January, February. Temperatures generally are expected to be above normal for the southeast U.S., down along the southern tier of the U.S., but the southeast and for Hampton Roads, we're likely to be above average as well. Now you see below normal conditions expected for the northern tier, and this is because we anticipate a weak La Nina to be in place as we go forward through the winter months. So this is a typical setup for that. Now, as far as the precipitation outlook goes, well, you can see it's going to be cool. As far as precipitation, I don't think we're going to see excessive amounts here. We've been dry. We will likely stay a little dry. It should be wetter than normal around the Great Lakes and wetter than normal back across, again, the northern tier. So if you remember earlier, I said, parts of Montana were really dry. They were in more severe to almost exceptional or extreme drought. Those areas needing the rain or the snow, that combination of cooler and wetter conditions, it spells a likelihood of more snow across the northern tier and even over towards the Great Lakes. So we're going to be watching for that, but keep this in mind. If you are a snow lover, if you're part of Team Snow here in the Mid-Atlantic, even parts of the Southeast, just because these are the 90-day outlooks for the seasons upcoming, you've got 3 months here, right? Doesn't mean that there couldn't be little quick bursts of really cold air or storm systems that draw moisture into cold air. We could still get hit with a couple of heavier snows at any point. So this is just a general outlook. When you average all the highs and lows and you look at the total amounts of precipitation over the course of the season, this is most likely how things will play out. But there could still be those little punches or pops of heavier precipitation and colder weather. So we won't rule out an end to that snow drought. Certainly not now. We're just going to keep an eye on things, and we'll, of course, let you know if we get anything. So let's bring it back to the 757. We've got a mild and wet start to the week. It is going to get colder, though, later this week, and I want to get into that. So here's a quick look at our priority automotive sky view, and this is from our tower in Norfolk. Earlier, we did get a few sprinkles on the lens. Really not much out there right now. There are showers that are pushing through, and we're going to see chances for more of that. As we take a look at the forecast, again, mild with passing showers this morning. I've been saying all morning on 13 News Now at daybreak that we would have our best chances between about 8:30 and noon, or 9 and noon. And we've seen just a few light sprinkles early this morning, but the better chance is still building over the next few hours. I also want to mention that by late afternoon, it's going to be drier and still mild. So I think the back half of the day looks pretty good for us here in Hampton Roads. Look at the moisture as it's coming in. Now, the low levels of the atmosphere are so incredibly dry. I can tell you right now, my lips are feeling a little chapped, my hands a little dry. Keep putting some lotion on, try to keep everything well moisturized here, because the dew points have been so dry. There's not much moisture. So the rain that you see on maybe your mobile app, your radar app, or whatever, it looks like it's raining. We're really not seeing much yet. There's just going to be a few light showers that pass by with this as it moves through over the next couple of hours. As we get into the afternoon, that'll pass. Again, this moisture will be more significant up into the northeast U.S., and eventually that colder air will change it over. But we're going to focus on Hampton Roads right now. So as we dive in, again, some of this struggling to make it down to the ground. There are some pockets of light showers off to the south and west, and then out towards I-85 and I-95. As we approach the 9:30 time period this morning, we're seeing some heavier pockets. All of this is working east. So let's pick up the live radar. Again, you can see a few sprinkles here, central parts of Suffolk into Chesapeake. We've had some rain showers up on the eastern shore, but it's been pretty light. This stuff here out west of Rocky Mountain, out west of Emporia, this is more significant rain, and this is still to come through later this morning. So forecast is right on track. You'll see this stuff moving through. Again, mild, temperatures up mid-50s, which is normal for this time of year. We're going to top out in the upper 50s. And the showers that come through, I will say the model has slowed it down a little bit since earlier this morning, kind of keeping this stuff back through 1 o'clock, southern parts of Virginia Beach and down over eastern North Carolina. But eventually that's going to pull out, and we should see improvements by late afternoon. So I'd say after about 3:30, 4 o'clock, most of the areas should be drier. As we look ahead to our evening, again, things are looking pretty good tonight. For tomorrow, slight chance for some showers down across the southern parts of the area. I do expect better chances for rain down into northeastern North Carolina. As we look forward to our Tuesday afternoon, we can take this full. We'll go ahead and show you. Again, we do have some clouds out there, but we should be dry for most of the day on Tuesday. Getting into Tuesday night and Wednesday, this is where it starts to change up again. So we've got the moisture out there to the west. It's coming back in, and the rain here looks like it's going to be more significant across the area. You'll notice some of those darker shades indicating the heavier downpours, and it's going to be some of these cells that have the potential to produce some of that runoff. Now, we're going to see warmer weather. Tuesday's highs up into the mid-60s, I think upper 60s on Wednesday. And then with that moisture coming through late Wednesday afternoon and Wednesday night, eventually things will settle out and we'll look forward to some nicer conditions. Taking a look at the marine forecast for today, winds south and southwest. That's part of the reason why we have such mild conditions out there. Could be a little gusty on the ocean waters and out on the bay, but at this point we don't have any small craft advisories up. I would still be very mindful of that. If you do have a small craft that tends to be pushed around a little bit by the winds, it will be a bit breezy out there and maybe a bit choppier later today as well. Temperatures upper 50s, close to 60 degrees across the south side Hampton Roads. As we look up to the peninsula, the middle peninsula, we do have that chance for showers coming through this morning and into the early afternoon, kind of lingering over to the eastern shore and at the Outer Banks, close to 57. Temperatures pretty uniform across the area. Will be close to 60 as we go through the afternoon across northeast North Carolina. Overnight tonight, the lows down around 48, mostly cloudy, showers possible late. Better chances for a few stray showers down to the south tomorrow. Rain chances will increase late in the day tomorrow, and then into Wednesday, that's when the rain is going to be more widespread. So you see the rain across the area, and that's going to be through Wednesday. Then we get a big drop as you take a look at this. 68 for the high on Wednesday, back down to 46 on Thursday. For Friday, 44, and then back in the low to mid 50s as we get into Saturday and Sunday. So it will certainly be much cooler as we finish out the week. Now, I want to give a quick shout out to everybody that came out to Chick's Oyster Bar, and for everyone really that has helped support the Virginia Beach Rescue Foundation. They had the lighted boat parade over the weekend. 13 News Now, a proud sponsor, and I was delighted to have the opportunity to co-host and MC the lighted boat parade for the VIP viewing at Chick's Oyster Bar. So we were out there, and you could see just the amount of work some of these captains put in to decorating their boats. It is a big party there right around the Lynn Haven Inlet, and just a great time for everybody to check things out along the channel. Just absolutely beautiful. We had a great time. My wife and I were out there, ran into Santa and Mrs. Claus. That was awesome. And you can see just everybody in the spirit. Susan and George Allen, former Governor George Allen, and his lovely wife Susan, very active in VB Rescue and the foundation. Again, we had a wonderful time and just wanted to thank everybody that supported that. Do you know we raised, I say we, I will say the foundation raised, we were just talking about it, $170,000 from all of the sponsorships and the people buying tickets. So a tremendous amount of support for VB Rescue, and that rescue squad is incredible. All volunteers, 280 volunteers with the rescue squad. So that money goes to support their efforts and getting them supplies they need to help keep Virginia Beach residents safe. So really thank everybody that came out to support VB Rescue and the foundation. It was an awesome time. All right, we're going to go ahead and just let you know where you can find me on social media if you ever want to reach out. Craig Moeller on Facebook, Craig Moeller TV on Instagram, and 13 Craig Moeller on X. Always happy to hear from you. We're going to continue to do these live streams. Hopefully you enjoy them. I know I certainly like diving in a little deeper into the weather. So if you get the chance, go ahead and hit me up on one of those social outlets, and we'll try to get to some more topics you may have interest. Remember, we do this every Monday through Friday, starting now at 9 a.m. We're doing a little bit earlier, and you can watch it at your convenience throughout the day on the 13 News Now Plus app. It's always free, live, local, and always on. I want you to have a great day, and we'll see you again next time.